Hello my friends, Patrick God here. Welcome to my channel. Thank you very much for clicking on this video. And today it is about another Blazor UI component library. Some of you mentioned Radzen Blazor in the comments and told me about Radzen Blazor. And then I thought, well, maybe I should have a look into Radzen Blazor, and now I did. So in this tutorial, we will create a Blazor WebAssembly project, ASP.NET Core hosted, because I wanted to get a lot of weather forecasts. You know the drill, the example application from Microsoft in .NET 6, well, also in the other .NET versions. But anyways, in Blazor WebAssembly, when you create an example project, then you get the weather forecast controller with some data. And this is what we will use, because then we can display all these forecasts, for instance, in a DataGrid. So we will have a look at the DataGrid of Radzen Blazor, and then also I wanted to have a look at the charts because I think they look pretty nice, and this is what we're going to do in this tutorial, and that's pretty much it. And if you like this tutorial and learned something, I would really appreciate it if you click the like button, maybe even subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to get a notification for new videos, and also if you want to get these videos here earlier in your inbox, and maybe also early access to the upcoming .NET Web Developer Bootcamp and other courses I create, then maybe you want to have a look at my newsletter. Please check out the links in the video description and then just sign up. I promise at max I send an email once a week, and then, well, you get some information and free stuff regarding .NET and Blazor WebAssembly. And last not least, of course, everybody, thank you so much for all your support, for all the coffees, teas, hot chocolates, whatever it is. I love you guys forever, and if you want to support me as well, then please have a look again at the video description for the links for Ko-fi and buy me a coffee. Great stuff. So thank you very much already for all that, and thank you very much for watching. And now I stop talking. Enjoy the tutorial. All right, here we are, Visual Studio 2022. We create a new project. Let's create a Blazor WebAssembly app. And let's call this Radzen Blazor first look, maybe, because this is what it is, a first look at Radzen Blazor. And we use .NET 6, no authentication, HTTPS. And I want to use ASP.NET Core hosted here, not necessary at all for this little test or little example application, but I want to use the weather forecast example of Microsoft, and with that, when we use the ASP.NET Core hosted version, we can, well, add more than just 5 forecasts. So maybe this might be interesting for the components of Radzen Blazor. All right, here we are. We've got our client project, the server project, and the shared one. And the very first thing we have to do is install Radzen Blazor, of course. And for that, I would say we just have a look at their website. So here it is. Just Google for Radzen Blazor or go to blazor.radzen.com. And then you already find the components here. And when we go to get started, here we see how to install this thing. So I would say let's do that together. I want to use the package, the NuGet package manager here. So back to Visual Studio, we right click the client project, manage NuGet packages, and on the browse tab, let's have a look for Radzen. And there it is, 1.35 million downloads. Not bad at all. All right, and when this is installed, the next step is we import Radzen and Radzen Blazor in our imports Razor file. So let me close this and this. We save this. And here now we add this thing, and what was it? Radzen Blazor, it was the namespace, yeah. All right, okay, now with that we have to include a theme. And now for Blazor WebAssembly, we go to our www root folder and then the index.html. There it is. And this is actually pretty similar to MudBlazor, or at least the installation of MudBlazor. So if you want to have a look there, I've got a video about Blazor as well. And whoops, that was wrong. Got the style sheet. No, don't see, talking and copy pasting this stuff is not that easy. Wanted to use this thing here, the JS file. Now that's correct. And regarding this thing here, we don't have to include Bootstrap actually, do we? Because it is already here as well. So I guess this is sufficient here. So if you still want to use Bootstrap, make sure to add this line or just keep it there. Or if it doesn't work, you can also use this line here. So not the base CSS file, but just the default CSS file. After that, then the JS file. And then we have to, I don't want to use a component yet. We can also add these here. So if you want to do more, let's just add them. Dialog, notification, context menu, and the tooltip. So this has to be added to the main layout, shared main layout. There they are. And then in our now program CS with .NET 6, we also register these services. Okay, and we have to add the namespace here, of course, using Radzen. And then this should work. So I would already say we test this. We shouldn't see anything regarding Radzen Blazor, but we will in a minute. But first, let's see if the application starts. Just take some time, but this looks good, I guess. Okay, here are the weather forecasts. See that only 5 forecasts, and we can change that. In the controller, for instance, let's add 50. Yeah, why not? So let's restart this thing. Okay, so now we've got 50 forecasts here. And why did I do this? Well, I want to test the data grid of Radzen Blazor, and well, it's nice to have some data here instead of just 5 entries, right? So regarding the forecast, let's go back to this page here, not the forecast, the data grid. We can go to explore demos, and there you see it already. This is the data grid, for instance, of Radzen Blazor. And now I would say we just implement this thing, a simple one, really, for this first look here. So we can go to our fetch data page, and here we see the table. Let me close the other ones maybe. So we see the table here, and here's the call to our forecasts. And now just on top, let's add the data grid. All right, and the component is called Radzen Data Grid, so pretty simple, I guess. And the first thing we have to add here is the actual data. Not like that, like that. This is the parameter here. And these are our forecasts. Yep, and there they are. All right. So these are our forecasts. We can also add the type for each item. This is now our weather forecast class. And for now, this is okay, but we have to also add the columns, because when I just save this and refresh the page, we don't see anything almost. I think, is this the data grid? Let me double check. Really have to test this here. Yeah, this seems to be the data grid. Okay, so we don't see anything. Now this is different to other component libraries already. For instance, if you use DevExpress or DevExtreme, never know what the correct name is, then I think you can already use just that and put the data. So there is a data grid, and when you put the data source here, it already works out of the box, takes all the properties and displays the columns then there. But you know, every library is different, and I just want to have a first look here, and then you decide what's the best for you. So let's just continue with Radzen Blazor here. So columns now, this is necessary if you want to display the columns. And for the weather forecast, we've got, I guess, 4 columns here that make sense. So we add Radzen DataGrid column. Again, we add the class weather forecast, and the property here is the date, and let's also use the title date. And only for the date in this specific case here I want to use a template. That's nice that we can do that, but we have to define the context, not the context menu, the context. And the context now is called data, and here now we can say data date. So the data is actually our forecast. We can also call this simply forecast, maybe makes more sense. And from the date I want to use or display the short date string like that. So this is now already our data grids with the date. There they are, and you see got lots of entries here, so maybe we can use something like paging. Let's have a look, but first let's add the other columns. So again, Radzen, almost Radzen data grid column. Close this one already, because now we only say this is our type, and the property now is temperature Celsius, title temp C, and this is actually exactly the same stuff you see down here in the table. And now the last thing, no, that's already it. That's already it. Okay, so this is temperature Celsius, then we've got Fahrenheit, and the last one is the summary. And now let's have a look again. Already works. Hot reload at its best. So now we see the temperature and the summary. So this is actually done pretty fast. And when you compare this to the old school, let's say, table code, yeah, of course, a bit smaller. And this also works with MudBlazor, for instance, DevExtreme, I don't know, whatever you want to have a look at, Blazorize maybe. And if you want to use or see another component library here on my channel, please write it down in the comments, and I would be happy to test this and have a first look there. But I'm not done here. I want to test some stuff. So the first thing is filtering, for instance. So when we say allow here, allow filtering to true, let's already test that. We should see, yeah, now we see already this icon here. And let's say a complex filter less than 1, for instance. Yeah, now we see all the temperatures in Celsius below 1. Isn't that already nice? I think this is great. So this works pretty nice and fast. You really have a nice filter. Design is a bit different to the data grid itself, maybe. So maybe we can fix that. But I guess this is already a great feature. Apart from that, what we can also do is allow column resize. This is something they use in the examples, and also allow sorting. We can do that and set this to true. And now we can, yeah, see that we can resize the columns and sort this. So this also works pretty great. So this is the default, and then ascending, and descending. So yeah, that's nice. But now, last thing I wanted to use here in the data grid is what's it called, the paging or pagination. So here you see that page size and allow paging, page a horizontal line, and so on. But let's try page size and allow paging. And back to Visual Studio, maybe in a new line. And now here we add these two. And yep, already works. Nice. This is great. So now we've got 5 entries per page. And here we see, okay, page 5, and then it moves on. All right, nice. And that's really, really quick. That's done really, really fast. Maybe we can use 10 here. Nice. I like that. That's really, really quick. And again, we can of course sort this and maybe also filter this to less than 1. No page anymore, only these entries, and we can clear the filter and the sorting, and we're done. All right, so this is the data grid, a pretty quick look, short look, and I'm pretty sure that it can do much more. As you can see here in the example, you can add more templates for images. I don't know, pagings here, about the colors, you can change them, and so on. So this is already nice. But one more thing I wanted to show you and test also is the charts, because here in data visualization, this is something I haven't had a look into with the other components yet, are all these charts. And I think they look pretty nice, clean and just nice. So I want to test this line chart here with the weather forecast data. So I would say below the data grid, we just add our chart, right? So back to Visual Studio. Here now we add Radzen chart. And now when you want to use the line chart, we just add a Radzen line series, where we say, for instance, smooth to true, and then again the data, which is our forecasts, and then we've got a category property. In our case, this would be the dates, and then we set a title, which is first the temperature in Celsius. And then in the new line, we can also define the line type. So we've got different line types here. Line type, dashed, dotted, and solid. So let's use solid here. And now the value property, and then the title makes sense, is the temperature, again in Celsius, right? So the date from the forecast and the temperature in Celsius. And I would say we test this already. Let's see how this looks. Okay, this looks interesting. Well, this is random data, right? So this looks really, really crazy, but it works. It works already, I'd say. And maybe we can still add one more thing, and that would be the marker. So with Radzen markers, we can actually say marker type is marker type circle. And we close this, and with that we should see the dates. Yeah, okay. And now it does make more sense. Still a crazy graph, but yeah, we see our values, right? with the dates, the temperatures, and so on. And we can, of course, add another line here, maybe for the Fahrenheit values. And in this case, we just change that. And this thing here, maybe we can say, okay, or let's keep this also solid. I use the solid line, and yeah, looks pretty similar, right? Okay, so this works. And the last thing I wanted to use is the value axis. We can change the text of the value axis, because as you can see here, we see, for instance, in the example, revenue in US dollars, and we can do the same here as well. This is simply Radzen value axis. There's also the category axis, and we can do some stuff with this thing. But here now, let's say I want to see the grid lines. So let's put this or set this to true. All right. Close this already, because here by default we don't see any lines, but this will change in a minute, or in a second rather. And also, let's say the axis title is text temperature. All right, save this. And it is rebuilding. And we're done. We see the temperature, and we also see the grid lines. All right. Again, pretty quick, and in just, I don't know, under 20 minutes with talking, we see a completely functional data grid and also a line series graph here, or chart, and this is pretty nice, I guess. So Radzen Blazor, maybe you want to have a look. I will push this to GitHub, although you can get the code from the example pages, but still check out the video description for the code, and then have fun with that. There you have it, a first look at Radzen Blazor. Pretty nice, I think. You see, installation is done pretty quick, and then really quick we can create a data grid and also charts. And of course, this component library has lots and lots of stuff into it, and this is not sponsored, by the way, by Radzen Blazor. I just wanted to have a look and recommend that stuff to you. Additionally to MudBlazor and Blazorites and DevExpress and whatever you want to use here, Syncfusion maybe as well. So there are lots of component libraries out there, and MudBlazor, Radzen Blazor are free component libraries, open source. So maybe this is something for you. Then yeah, please use it. And if you want to see more of Radzen Blazor, please tell me that in the comments. And apart from that, if you like this video and learned something, again, I would really appreciate it if you click the like button, maybe subscribe to my channel. Don't forget the bell icon for a notification for new videos. Also, maybe consider subscribing to my newsletter for these videos here earlier in your inbox, and also upcoming online courses regarding .NET and Blazor. Would really appreciate that. And last but not least, of course, thank you so much again for all your support, guys. Really can use that. You know the drill. The nights are short, days are even longer, and to create these tutorials we need some stuff like coffee, of course. All right, and if you want to see more videos about .NET and Blazor, then here they are. Maybe you want to have a look at these two videos. This is interesting for you, then just click on that thing and then enjoy the next tutorial, and then the next one and the next one, and so on. And please tell me in the comments what you want to see in future videos. So again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you next time. Take care.